It's all right.
Hey, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Faithfully Her. I am your girl, Liana Michelle, and today I have a beautiful, melanated, professional woman on with us today. She is an intuitive energy healer. She is an affiliate member of the International Center for Reiki Training. She received her USI Holy Fire Corona. I hope I pronounced that right. Master's training at the birthplace of UC Method and Holistic Healing, which is in Kyoto, Japan. She offers sound bath meditation, yoga. She makes jewelry and she teaches certification courses. So please, everybody, put your hands together and welcome Truth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So grateful to be here. Thank you for this opportunity, and anyone who's listening, thank you for sharing space and time with Miss Leanna Michelle and myself today. And so yes, it's usui. It's a mouthful.
Okay, Usui. Okay.
Usui, which is the founder of this particular lineage of intuitive healing, and then Karuna Reiki Master. So Karuna is another word for compassion. So just a compassionate healing.
Okay, so talk to us about what Reiki is for the person who does not know. And like I was telling you before we came on, I've seen it on TV. Like anybody who really knows me know I love my ratchet TV. So I'm like Housewives, everything. So I've seen it on a few of the Housewives shows where they have the Reiki person and they're doing the crystals or whatever, but never really quite understood what it was. So can you just kind of break it down for us?
Yeah, so it is an intuitive healing art that usually involves healing touch um, as the foundation of transferring energy or helping to align or balance energies within the body. Um, However, it's a little bit more than that. So Reiki, it's one word, but it's two Japanese words put together. So Rei translates as universal wisdom or universal consciousness, or the all-knowing, just kind of like um, everything being one. And then ki, as we all know, with like Kyung or Tiang, however you pronounce it, or chi or ki, um, is energy. It's that life force energy, and we all have that flowing throughout us. If you are a living being, you have energy flowing through you. And so the practice of Reiki uses the healing touch to help balance that. So a lot of times when we are dealing with our day-to-day drama or stress, whether it's work, family, media, what have you, we have a lot of external stressors. And Reiki has been, for me personally, a beneficial tool to help realign myself, to recenter myself. And so a lot of people use this healing art mainly for, to relieve anxiety, stress. Some people use it for pain management. It has been known to help with recovery in hospitals, people who've getting out of surgery. So post-op, people transitioning into the afterlife. So there are death doulas who are Reiki certified, who help the family and the person that is passing. So it has a number of uses.
So what exactly is involved in it? I mean, am I just laying there and you're touching me and I'm supposed to feel better when you're done? Like what exactly, what's happening?
So overall, across the board, what's happening is the practitioner is allowing the Reiki energy to flow into the person that's receiving the Reiki. And the Reiki is intuitively going into the areas in the body that are in need of healing or balance or clearing or alignment or what have you. As far as what typically happens during a Reiki session, it's very unique and it varies from one practitioner to another. And so that's why we call it a healing art, right? So if you were to come in for a Reiki session with me, for example, I first have you, there's paperwork, you have a disclaimer, and then we have you relax. We have you lay out on a table. You do have an option to sit up if you'd like in a chair. So Reiki can be received laying down or sitting up. There's actually a few different techniques that we use to share Reiki healing with others. So again, the hands-on healing method is not the only method. There's some people who are not okay with having their body touch, but want to experience Reiki. So you can also receive Reiki healing without being touched. We have what's called Gyoshiho, which we send Reiki with the eyes. There's distance healing. But going back to what you would expect in the Reiki session with me, I would have you most likely lay out on a table unless you specified you'd like to sit in a chair. I asked you if it's okay for hands-on healing, and yes, if you're okay with that, I have your consent. I then say a prayer for you, and I offer my gratitude to God, to the Holy Spirit, to Jesus, the blood of Jesus Christ, and just ask to be guided. And if I'm not guided, allowing the Reiki energy to be guided to heal the person that is receiving the healing to their highest and greatest good. And the session usually lasts about an hour. So after I ask for that guidance, I do what is called a Biosen scan. And Bio in Japanese is just a word for, or Biosen, should I say, is a word for disease line. Bio is a part of a word that means bad or not good. So we do a Biosen scan within the aura to check the body, and I typically check from crown chakra to root chakra. Sometimes I go beyond the root chakra, and sometimes I go beyond the crown chakra on both ends. And then I also kind of check like the extremities, the arms, the legs, stuff like that. And then once the Biosen scan's done, I have a clear idea of where the healing is needed, and then I offer the hands-on healing session. And so the person who is laying there on the table or sitting there in the chair, they get to either sit back and relax or lay down and relax. Sometimes people talk, sometimes people don't talk. There's relaxing music, there's essential oils, but ultimately it's a full 1 hour of hands-on healing.
Okay. Well, how did you get started into this? What pulled you to this particular line of work or purpose for healing and helping others?
Healing myself. I didn't even know what Reiki was when I first started practicing it. It was recommended to me by a trusted medium back in 2016. And this is after, I've always been very empathic and very sensitive to energy, and really didn't have that perspective of what I was experiencing was more of like a spiritual nature or a calling. I just thought there's something wrong with me, or I'm weird or whatever. And I saw a medium back in 2016 after doing a past life regression. So just trying to get deeper into my own healing journey. And this medium had recommended to me, and actually before even recommending to me, I had experienced Reiki without even knowing what Reiki was. She had did a palm reading, and then she was she paused for a minute because I was crying and just kind of pouring my heart out to her about like how I'm just like over life and I don't understand why I've just been dealt this life of suffering, and what can I do to overcome this? How do I heal from everything that I've experienced in life? And it's really stopped me in my tracks when I felt it, because again, here I am thinking, I'm crazy. I asked her, I said, am I losing my mind, or is what I'm feeling in my hand? Because she had her hand over my hand like this. I said, is what I'm feeling in my hand, are you feeling that? I'm like, I'm feeling this swirling energy, and I can even kind of sense into the visual, but it was more like a very clear sentient um feeling of what was happening between our hands. And she's like, no, you're not losing your mind, you're not going crazy. I'm actually picking up that you're a very powerful healer, and this is a part of your journey, but you have to first start with yourself. And that's when she recommended Reiki. And so that's how I got into it. I started, looking into it. I'm at this point, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I've already been dealt not the greatest hand in life, not looking for a sad pity, story or anything like that. But um, I just thought, what, I have nothing to lose. So let me look into what this Reiki healing is. And I found a local Reiki master, Amelia Kabashi, is located in Northville, a very wonderful lady, who I initially took my level 1 and level 2 under. And then I did a lot of self learning myself. So I ended up just going deeper into it. And then I started following the International Center for Reiki Training. And then eventually in 2018, 2018 was when I took my original master in 2017, and then I went in 2018 to do the master with the International Center for Reiki Training. And that's when I learned the Usui Holy Fire Karuna method of Reiki healing. So going into how I got into this as a profession, because again, even when it was shared with me that this was my purpose in life, I didn't really see myself as some healer, as someone offering healing to others, but I definitely thought, okay, this would be good for me. And so in just living in my own healing journey, friends and family around me have seen me transform or transition from this person who was always angry and easily triggered and just not really very short-tempered, very impatient. Could be I was a sweet person, but also could be very, very unpleasant too at times. Very just impatient. And seeing me transition from this person who was very impatient to someone who became more compassionate and understanding and loving, not just of other people, but myself, because I lacked self-love. And so people were curious, what are you doing different? And that's when I started sharing that, I learned Reiki and I've been doing Reiki healing. And I started sharing it with friends, just, as a hobby, and they really enjoyed the experiences, and they're like, truth, you need to do this, you need to share this with others. And so then I started offering Reiki healing sessions, and then started eventually teaching Reiki, so that others could hopefully receive the same great benefits, or if not better, that I had received in my own healing journey.
That is, what I like most about that story is you were in a very dark place, apparently, right? You were angry, you wasn't happy, you couldn't see the light in your own life. You couldn't find it, you couldn't see it. It was like off your radar. And sometimes sometimes when we are at our lowest and our darkest point, that's when God steps in and breathes life and says, hey, there's something, I took you through all of this for a reason. You had to suffer, you had to hurt, you had to go through some things. So when I set this up for you, you will know exactly how to utilize it. You'll know how to move forward. You'll know how to make it a benefit to other people because of the experiences that you have gone through. And I want people to understand that, because sometimes so many people like you are in that place. I was in that place. Lord, why is this happening? Why every time I turn around, Jesus, is something else? You know what I'm saying? Or,
right.
I'm out here, I'm doing the best I can. I'm living right. I'm not out here purposely hurting people or being malicious and vindictive and evil, but I cannot get a break. I can't seem to get that one foot in the door, or, you know what I'm saying? And we think that, and then we start thinking that it's us. I gotta be doing something wrong. It gotta be me. And then we start being so hard on ourselves, and we tear ourselves down even more so, and we go through that horrible dark pit. And then right when we feel like all hope is lost and I'm just ready to wash my hands and give up on this, God comes through and says, girl, I got something in store for you. Get on up. You stronger than this. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
I'm happy that you found that in Reiki.
Me too.
I really, really am. Now, I know that there are some misconceptions about it when you think of, because I was doing my research, because like I said, I didn't know anything about Reiki before this. So I didn't want to come on here and just sound stupid. So I did a little research. And one of the articles that I was reading was talking about the comparison between Reiki and Christianity. Because Reiki is a spirit, it labels as a spiritual healer or a spiritual intuitive healer. And then Christianities or Christians are saying that the only healer is Jesus through the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we do the laying on the hands in church, but it's rooted in something, and that Reiki is not a scientific method that can be compared. So I'm just wondering, what is your take, or have you faced that? Have you had people ask you those questions or come to you conflicted with their Christian walk and the Reiki healing that's being offered?
Yeah, it comes up a lot, actually. And I think that the biggest difference between the two that I can share is that Christianity is a religion and Reiki is not. Reiki, specifically Usui Holy Fire Reiki, because Holy Fire Reiki works off the belief system of not Christianity as a religion, but Christianity as a faith. That Jesus did heal through the laying on of hands. And that if we surrender ourselves to that higher power of Jesus Christ, that all is possible. And so I kind of get conflicts on both ends. Some from people who are very strong in their Christian faith, and they're saying, well, how do we put this power in our human hands? And then we also have people who are kind of anti-religion, that are like, well, especially with the masterclass, because we do talk about Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit a lot in the masterclass. How do we differentiate Reiki from the religion of Christianity if we're talking about Jesus and we're talking about the Holy Spirit? And ultimately, what I was taught from my Reiki masters is Jesus Christ. Religion doesn't own Jesus Christ. Christianity doesn't own Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is his own entity, or is its own entity, or her own entity, whatever or whoever Jesus Christ may be. They are an ascended master that are in alignment with the brothers and sisters of light. So it doesn't matter who or what you believe in, whether it's God, it's Allah, it's Buddha, it's whoever you believe in. Um, that we surrender our egos and our idea of this human self to the higher power. But specifically with holy fire, we do surrender um, our ego to the Holy Spirit because it's pure. It's very pure and it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Selfless,
Okay.
in a sense that when I'm offering a Reiki session to someone, I am not the healer. I am just the messenger. I am just the channel through which this energy flows. And so um, I am not Christian, and I don't consider myself as a part of any religious following. But I do believe in the power of the Holy Spirit, and I do believe in um, the strength and the love of Jesus Christ. And
Okay.
so with Reiki and with the ICRT specifically, one of our main goals is to break down those barriers that that are put up between religions and beliefs and backgrounds and different backgrounds, because at the end of the day we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, no matter what we believe in or who we believe in. And our only purpose here on this earth is to be the expression of love um, that Jesus Christ had shown us.
Right, right. Now, and that I do agree with. I always say on here that, when Jesus walked this earth and he taught us love and he taught us how to help each other, and he didn't go and sit on high with the kings and the queens and the emperors. He sat down low in the gutter where I was and where I was broken, and he sat amongst those broken pieces and taught us how to support each other, how to love each other, how to take care of each other, and the importance of that love. So I always say, if I stand up, then it's my job to reach my hand down and pull my brother up or my sister up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going
Exactly.
to sit and eat steaks and you're over there eating a bologna sandwich. Like, no, come on over here and get some of this steak. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
and I always say
Exactly.
that that's what it should be like. And that's what it sounds like you're describing to me as far as the perspective of the umbrella in which it sits under.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the umbrella in which it sits under. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing, because people are so skeptical nowadays. You don't, and you see the crystals and the healing, and then you'll get people to be like, oh no, that's witchcraft because they deal it, and but if it's all up under that umbrella of the teachings of Christ,
Right.
which is what we all should be following, right? The teachings of Christ, then how can you find something bad in that?
Right. Exactly. Um, and I think the biggest issue is, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think the biggest issue is um people's belief on, and maybe not even just people's belief, maybe they've experienced a Reiki healer who maybe has found their light, but then also has kind of turned their eye to their light, so to speak. And so um allowing the ego to overtake the practice overall. And so it becomes more of a human practice than a spiritual practice, that I am the healer and I am better than all those other healers. And you don't go to that healer or don't go to that healer because
Got you.
what I have to offer is so much better. And and I think that it's really unfortunate because I always, when I teach my students, I always have to like reiterate over and over because sometimes they're like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. And it's like, we walk by faith, not by sight, and we have to surrender our ego. You know, we have to trust and believe that what we are doing is working, even if you don't see or feel or notice anything significantly happening right then and there. You have to trust. And as a healer, you have to remember that you are not the one doing the healing, that you can't do any wrong. And even if you are doing something that you would consider wrong, um, if you believe in this higher power, again, regardless of whatever your background is, if you believe in this higher power and surrender to this higher power and allow that to be the source of through which Reiki flows through you into who you are offering it to, you can't do any wrong.
Right. And you know,
And so,
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
that's
done.
okay.
Go ahead.
I did pause, but I was just gonna go back into, I was just gonna just bring it back around to, you know, I think that because we have some people out here who have either experience or we see that there's this competition or just not so great experiences in Reiki. I think that that may be one of the roots of why people are like, oh, that's witchcraft, this, that, and the other. And like I said, I could be wrong. But I think that that may be one of them.
Okay. So at this training center in Japan, so you went all the way to Japan? How long were
Always
you
Japan.
there?
I was only there, so the training only lasted, I think, a week, but I was there for a total of, maybe it was 8 days, because I think I was there a total of 10 or 11. I was there one day longer than I was supposed to be there because there was a tsunami or typhoon. And I can't, my memory is not the greatest.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just leave that disclaimer right there. I actually suffered a concussion on the left side of my head in 2016, which I'm later learning in life is the Broca's area, which is associated with language and memory. And so it's not the greatest. I get by. But yeah, so just leaving that disclaimer out there that sometimes I'm thinking like, was it a typhoon or was it a tsunami? But I believe it's typhoon. Japan has it every year in September. They have a season of these storms that come. So I was there one day longer than I should have been, long story short. And if I'm ever rambling on, please cut me short because I will ramble.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Well, let's just say thank God you're here from whatever caused the concussion, whatever damage that it did do. Thank God you are here. You're up, you're walking around, you can see, you can hear, you can talk.
Yes.
And who cares if you forget a few things? I forget stuff all the time, okay? I was my mother's only child and she forgot my name. I don't know how, like, I'm the only one in the house. How you don't know who I am? So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're okay with forgetting something. Some things deserve to be forgotten, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. It's just, it's something I like to bring up. It's one thing that I used to be very self-conscious of. And I don't know, sometimes when I'm like talking and I'm like, was it a typhoon or was it a or tsunami? And I'm just like, they probably think this girl don't know what the hell she's talking about. So I leave that disclaimer there because I'm like, yeah, my memory is not the greatest, but you know, I am getting better at accepting myself for who I am. So and being okay with not remembering everything.
Right. And because it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
The holy fire part to this, is that a special technique that's being done, or is that just the name that's associated?
No, it is a different technique that's trademarked through the International Center for Reiki Training. There are a few different forms of Reiki healing. There's angelic Reiki healing, holy fire Reiki healing. There's what is the word I'm looking for? Kemetic Reiki healing that aligns with the principles of old Egypt, Kemet. Um, there's so many different forms of Reiki healing, but all of the different um, forms of healing with Reiki, they do use Usui's traditional teaching method as the basis. So regardless if it's Usui or not Usui, but if it's holy fire or Kemetic Reiki, traditionally it is through Usui's lineage.
Okay. Okay.
And so holy fire specifically is a technique taught through the International Center for Reiki Training. Again, that gives more credit to Reiki being used as a tool long before Usui, right? Because we do reread in the Bible that Jesus was able to lay his hands and heal. And so honoring this lineage of Usuis, but also honoring this lineage of Jesus Christ. And it's basically the holy fire method is basically um, honoring Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit
So
ultimately.
is there fire involved? Like, are there candles lit? Where does the, or is it the same as the way you described it to me earlier with just the laying on the hands, the prayer, and then that energy?
Yeah, but it's just the laying on the hands, the prayer, that energy. Some practitioners may use crystals. There are sometimes practitioners use candles, but this is not a outlined way of practicing holy fire. This is
Okay.
just these are just extra tools used in within the practice. But the core, the roots of holy fire is the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Okay. How big of or how can I say this? Energy, right? Because all of this is about energy that is flowing through the body, maybe tapping into toxic energy that's causing maybe some mental distress or maybe some physical distress into the body. And from what I think I'm understanding is there is an energy that's at work there that kind of helps tap into those areas to release or relieve you from it, right? So
Mhm.
how big does energy really play in our day-to-day lives? Like just going to the grocery store, or I'm going to the car wash, I'm going to work this morning. How big does energy really play in our lives?
It is everything in our lives. Everything. Everything is energy. And so, when we're getting in our car and drive, just even being on this Zoom, right? Like I have these headphones in. And then we have wireless headphones. These electronic devices, they have energetic frequencies that can also affect our energetic frequencies. And so like for calls, I have a pair of wireless headphones, but I like to use these because now I'm learning that the energies of these wireless devices and even iPads and iPhones, they're not the healthiest for us energetically. But overall, it plays a huge role. You have to be very aware of not just other people's energy, but the energy of all things, the energy of your mood, the energy of what you're listening to, the energy of what you're watching, the energy of what you're reading. Um, all of this has a huge, 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 huge role on our overall energy within our body. And the energy within our body it's very contagious. So once our body, because we are vessels and we are an expression of the energies that are flowing within us, um, then we eventually either deflect or kind of shed some of that energy onto other people that we encounter. And so it plays a very, very big role in our lives. Energy is everything.
Now I know transference energy is real, where
Very real.
and I remember experiencing it, you know, years and years ago in my youth and not really understanding what it was, but how somebody else can walk into the room in a bad mood or whatever it is and just kind of put that onto you. And the next thing I know, I'm walking around and I'm like, I was like happy 10 minutes ago. Why am I angry now? Or why am I sad now? Or whatever. And some years had went by and I can't remember how I heard it or how I learned it. I was probably in a class or something, and they were talking about the transference of energy, and it clicked on it. It was like the light bulb went on. Like that's what's been happening. So then I had to start paying attention to exactly what you're saying, the people around me and the energy that they come in with, and how that affects me. It's been times where I've had certain friends to my home, and when they left, I had to get out my prayer cloth and my holy oil and open up all the windows and pray that spirit out of the house. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, because I just
Yeah.
felt like, oh my God, they left that here and I don't want it in here. Let me pray this out the house. I've been over to a friend's house where the energy was just so dark
Hmm.
that I actually remember one time trembling at their front door because the energy was just, like, and I was like, oh my God, did I just shiver? And I'm like, let me get up out this house. You know what I'm saying? And had to hurry up and leave and pray from the time I shut their door to my car. So I wouldn't so I wouldn't bring it in the car with me. Like, Lord, please,
Right.
whatever that was, please let me leave it here. Don't let it come with me. So energy, it's amazing how a person's negativity can bounce onto you, or that bad energy. Is there a way to block that? Do I just have to stop being friends with these people, or is there a way where I
No.
can block
No.
that?
No, not at all. You definitely, I mean, if it's to a point where it is disrupting like a good quality of life for you, then yes, sometimes you do have to make those cuts. But I mean, usually it doesn't have to go that far when we encounter other people with negative energy. Me personally, when I encounter people with negative energy, I know our instinct is to protect our own and to run in the other direction and ask that whatever is there not to be transferred onto us. But one thing that I like to do is to also just take a moment to offer a prayer for that person, because we never know what anyone is going through. Just like they don't know what I've been through, I don't know what you've been through, or
Right.
whoever's listening to this or watching this YouTube, what they've been through, I don't know. And so whatever energy that they're bringing with them, I just pray for them and I ask God to end their suffering and to clear that energy out. And usually, in that act alone of just like praying for that person, it offers protection for me, because whatever God or Jesus relieves from them, I don't have to worry about it coming after me, because I give it to God. I
Amen.
take it, I ask God to take it from them and give it to God. So I don't worry about it for myself. I don't run. I usually, I see people having a bad day and I kind of just walk right on into it, and pray for them. And I think that a lot of times when we do take on that negative energy, is because we do have that fear of, oh shoot, man, this is some bad energy. I don't want this bad energy. And so we tend to, just in that fear alone, that fear, that feeling of fear is energy, and it's our energy
Mhm.
that we brought about ourselves that lowers our shield, that weakens our shield, that allows negative energy to come in by just experience and allowing that fear to express itself and to manifest. Um, and so another way is just, letting go of your fears and trusting that regardless of, what may be going on in this external world, whatever this person is bringing, that you are protected.
Yeah. What I'd like to do now, what I try to, and I don't even really try anymore. I think it's just a part of the makeup of who I am, and it's starting to come out more so than ever because I've let my guards down. I'm no longer pretending. I'm just being me. So I
Yeah.
find that when I'm out, like on my morning walks, if somebody else is out there walking that morning or whatever, if I'm just out and about, I get people that will just come up and strike up conversations. And it's so weird because it's usually older white people. And it would probably be the people you would think wouldn't come up to you, but they'll come up. And next thing I know, like we're in a full blown conversation. I didn't prayed with people in the middle of Walmart. I don't know these people from Adam, but if for some reason they draw themselves to me and they just feel
Mhm.
like I'm somebody that they can talk to in the middle of Walmart. And and I usually stand there and be like, oh, okay, I'll have the conversation. And
Right.
we have this conversation. It ends in a prayer, it ends up in hugs. I've had people cry, and I'm like, what is this that makes people just come and bear all to me? But I don't turn away from it. I don't run away from it. I think it has to be a special gift because
Mhm.
I'm a stranger, and how comfortable do you have to automatically be in the approach to not only say, can I tell you something, but bear your truth to a complete stranger,
Yeah.
and feel comfortable enough in bearing that truth to a complete stranger. So I recognize that now as some form of an energy that I have to be walking in, that is giving these people that level of comfort. And like I said, it's like older white people. It's hardly ever a person of color. It's ever hardly ever a person that's my age bracket. Is always an older elder person of the opposite complexion that is just feeling that comfortableness with me, to where, like, I had a lady tell me about her sister who was in a coma, and this, like, she talked to me for 30 minutes in the middle of the grocery store, and she hugged me and then she walked away. And I was like, okay, I guess she just really needed to get that off her chest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as she walked away, I just said a quick little prayer, like, Lord, keep your hands on her family, give them the
Yes.
healing and the love and the strength that they need to get through this. You know what I'm saying? And that was that. And I've never seen that woman again. And I go to the same grocery store every week. And I never saw her before then. I haven't seen her after that. But
Right.
it's weird. That's why I was asking you about the energy thing, because
Yeah.
it just attracts.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. I mean, I know this is your show, but have you, in experiences like that, have you felt drained, or that something like some negative energy was rubbed off onto you in those exchanges?
In those exchanges, never. If anything, I
Ex-
always walked away feeling like a little bit lighter, maybe even after
yes.
taking on all of that and hearing those stories and cries and tears and prayers and, oh my God, it really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
even after all of that, I walk away feeling better. I feel lighter. I feel like, for whatever reason, in that moment, I was where I was supposed to be for that particular person. So I
Absolutely.
never walked away feeling drained or bogged down, or feeling like next time I go to the grocery store, I have to wear a full hood, you know what I'm saying, or hide my
Right.
face or anything. Like, no, it's just always been an actual light, loving feeling as I walked away from it.
And that's how energy works. So if we when faced with the opportunity to share our light, which it sounds like you have plenty of it to share, when when, when faced with the opportunity to share our light, and we do so in a loving and compassionate way, we are not only offering healing and support for those people that are attracted to your light, but you're offering yourself that same healing and support, and so that you don't feel drained afterwards. Whereas when faced with the opportunity to share our light and we're like, oh, I don't feel like being bothered, don't come to me with this, leave me alone. And maybe you listen, maybe you don't. Whether you listen or you don't, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have, where I'm just like, I don't got time for this right now. And sometimes I'll listen, sometimes I won't. And then ultimately, I end up feeling weighed down, end up feeling tired, because I was given the opportunity to share my life and I didn't. That's what it goes back to, what our purpose is here on earth is to be an expression of that love.
Right.
To follow in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not. Whether my husband always asks me this question, like, was Jesus even real? And I said, who cares? It's the story that inspires me, that, I believe that Jesus Christ is a real person, that he existed, but even if he didn't, his story is one that inspires me to be the best person that I can be, to be loving and compassionate and to be understanding.
Right.
And so if we live in that light of being loving and having empathy and compassion, and even when we're kind of just like, I don't got time for your mess, when we feel like that, but like just allow ourselves to and even if we aren't feeling our best, not saying that we need to, if you're not feeling well, you're not feeling well, but there's a way we do things, right? Instead of like facing that person with annoyance and like, oh, you leave me alone, don't come to me with that mess. Like, there's a way that you say things like, right now I need to take some time to myself.
Right.
And I feel for you. My heart feels for you. And I pray for you, but right now I need this time to myself. So there's a way in how we kind of repel the energies that we don't want in our space. We can do so in a loving manner, or we can do so in a not loving manner. But whenever we do so in a loving manner, when we share and hold space for that person, or if we don't share and hold space for that person, and we show them the same respect and loving kindness that we would want to receive ourselves, we ultimately uplift that person and ourselves.
Yes.
And that's how energy works. When you're asking like, how is it transferred? It's transferred through how we receive and give it.
Yes. And I can agree with that wholeheartedly. When I first started working in mental health, I wasn't 100 mentally myself, right? I was going through my own little stuff, dark time, whatever. Lupus had really just started attacking my body and my skin and everything. So I wasn't feeling pretty. I wasn't feeling me. And I started working in mental health, and I started seeing all of these other people and their issues, and mine seemed so insignificant. You know what I'm saying? The things that I was going through was nothing compared to some of the things these people were going through. But as I began to counsel and coach and help them come out of their darkness, I realized how much better I started actually feeling. Like actually helping them made me feel better. And I realized I wasn't harping on myself for the same old little things, and those other things that I was like, was no longer getting that major sigh. You know what I'm saying? Like things started getting lighter the more that I guess I shifted my energy and my thought process to just helping somebody else. It just really made me feel so much better with everything else, to the point where like I said, my problems were not even problems anymore. They didn't matter, because the only thing that really mattered to me was making sure that that client got to where they needed to be, and that client got the food that they needed for their kids, and you know what I'm saying, so forth and so on.
Right.
It took the focus off of me and allowed me to focus on something that mattered, which was helping somebody else.
Yes.
So
That's a blessing. That's a beautiful blessing.
it is, especially when you realize it. Like when you
Yes.
realize what it is, it's like, oh,
Yes.
like, okay, well, maybe this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And here I am, a little over a decade later, and my goal is the same thing, just helping people, you know, doing the best
Right.
that I can to help somebody else grow. I'm going to let you get out of here soon, because I know I'm holding you and I don't want to keep you. I think we kind of talked about everything except for Western versus modern.
Okay.
So, Western beliefs, modern beliefs, give me your take. I know I just kind of left that wide open, so you could take it wherever you want to go.
I mean, we've reached a point in this life where there's, I mean, does Western and modern beliefs even still exist? Because there's so many beliefs now. Like,
but you know, they have
geez.
Western medicine compared to modern day, or you know, what is considered civil or more acceptable traditional medical treatments versus the Reiki healing, the spiritual, the naturalistic form of healing.
Yeah. And you know, I think that we're coming to a day and age where these, I'm gonna be honest and say, like, this Western practice was built on capitalism and greed, and it's all about money. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but it seems that this Western practice of medicine does not have the highest and greatest good of the patient in mind, or the client or the person in need of help in mind, but for big corporations, like Johnson and Johnson, and who's the other one who had the vaccine? Shows how much I'm into all of that.
Moderna,
Moderna, Pfizer, yeah.
Johnson.
You know, yeah, these pharmaceutical companies and drugs that our government is pumping out. I think that we're coming to a day and age where people are starting to realize, not just as people, but even people in the medical practice are starting to identify that there are benefits in some of the Eastern medicine practices, such as Reiki, and yoga. There's benefits in indigenous practices, you know, with psychedelic therapies such as ayahuasca. And so we see that now. We don't, it's not common, but we see that now. Like Reiki is a service that is offered in the medical setting now. And I think that is a beautiful thing, that we have come to a point where we can integrate the two. I believe that medicine, you know, our Western medicine is necessary to an extent, not to the extent where we are just pushing it out there, seeing dollars on everyone's head, but as a last resort,
right?
To chronic conditions, you know, because when, you know, I used to work in healthcare and I couldn't do it anymore, because I would go out and I would see I was a community health outreach worker, and I would go out and I would see these lists of medications, and how they're taking one medication for one issue, but then they got to take another medication because this medication causes this. And then they got to take another medication to balance out those two medications. And
Right.
then now you got all three of these substances in the body and it does something to their bladder or something. So now they got to take another medication to
Right.
protect that part of the body. It's just, it's crazy. And it's very sad. And so, I'm not against medicine, but I definitely think that it is not something that should be done long term. There should be more education and awareness on healing through energy and through better practices, through um, eating healthier, um, making more conscious choices of what we put into our bodies, what we're drinking. Um, Physical activity. A lot of the things that a lot of the illnesses that we face today are due to lack of activity, poor diet, stress,
Mm.
and these are things that we can all cure ourselves. Like, we as a human race don't give ourselves enough credit. We think that medicine can cure us when we have that power. We just have to have the discipline, the self will to want to be better as a people, to do what it takes to be better as a people, and not fall for that instant gratification. Like, oh, I'm going to eat what I want and there's a pill for this, so when I get sick then I'm going to just take that pill. Like, no. Why?
Right.
Why give ourselves that unnecessary suffering when we know better, we do better, and we can do better for ourselves as a people. We will realize that a lot of this medicine is unnecessary.
Right. And you talk about medicine, and as you were talking, I was thinking, like, my rheumatologist who treats my lupus, right? He never talked to me about diet plan, workout plan, or anything on that level to help boost the immune system, to keep my joints from hurting and so forth. I literally had to do the research myself. When I first got diagnosed with lupus, I remember I had no idea what it was. I had never heard of it before. So I'm a bit of a drama queen. So I was like, oh Lord, I'm dying. Like, I just kind of passed out in the doctor's office. And he was just like, do you even know what lupus is? And I'm like,
But
no.
it's scary.
Yeah. And he told me to go Google it. He was like, go Google it, go read a book, go to the library, figure it out, get up off my floor with all this drama. Like, but there was no education from my doctors about what
Right.
it was, how it attacks, the way it moves through the body, or the organs, or whatever that it can affect in your body. There was never no talk about diet and how to maintain a good diet to naturally build up those properties in your immune system to help fight it. You know what I'm saying? To keep you stronger, anything. There was nothing from them. There was just a prescription.
Exactly.
And I've been taking this script for years now, and has anything really, really changed? I can honestly say my skin didn't change or get better or anything based off the medicine. What actually started working was me Googling things and me doing my own research and me looking into stuff and saying, oh, let me try this face mask with this oatmeal and this and that. And I'm at home in the kitchen stirring up stuff to do my own facial mask. And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Those different things. Me learning that corn is not good for me. As much as I love me some corn, it's not good for your immune system. So it's not something I should be putting in my body. You know what I'm like? But
right.
Those things didn't come from my doctor. Knowing that,
Right. You have to do it yourself.
right, knowing that kale and spinach has vitamins in it that are boosters that will help, knowing that cucumbers are good for your skin. So doctors didn't give me that. It was just me on the internet getting
Right.
that internet education on what are the best things I can do for me, and understanding that although my joints hurt, the more I exercise, the less they hurt.
Right.
So that
And
too.
it's all trial and error, right? Trial and error,
Right.
experimenting. And
Right.
that's what they do with the medicine. Experimenting, trial and error.
Yeah, yeah, and but I do wish that doctors would take that approach and not just give you a prescription and tell you to take this twice a day with meals, but also give you some information on what those meals should be, what those meals should look like, what those other things you can do to help increase your chances of overcoming whatever this is, or at least being able to put it in remission so you could maintain a better lifestyle or something. I just wish they offered that additional step.
Some doctors do, but think about it. This is how they make their money.
Right.
So if they are educating you on an alternative lifestyle, some doctors go, it's a blessing when you have doctors that go into the profession because they genuinely care about us as a human race and want us to be better. And you will find those doctors who will talk to you about alternatives to medication, right? But there are some doctors that are just in this profession for the money, and so they won't talk to you about these alternatives that are available to you, because as long as they can keep you on the medication, they can keep you as a patient, right? Most medications are, they act as band-aids for us. They minimize our symptoms. So
Mhm.
we experience a symptom of arthritis or lupus or anything, any disease that is diagnosed. We experience a symptom and we are prescribed a medication to minimize that symptom, but not to help us be better as a person.
Yeah.
It just minimizes that symptom. But when we have more people that are knowledgeable about what we're putting into our bodies and on our bodies also. I mean, some things that we put on our bodies are not, like you say, you're putting the oatmeal on your face. Our skin is an organ too. In fact, it's our largest organ.
Right.
And so we're putting stuff on our body is absorbing whatever we put on there, whether it's, some perfume, which is poison, or
Mhm.
essential oils, or food that we would put into our bodies. And so, if we are more conscious of what we're putting on it in our bodies, and we're doing better as a human race, and we don't experience dis-ease, or diagnosable diseases. And I say dis-ease because dis-ease and disease, I classify them as two different things, where we experience this discomfort in our body where we don't feel well and it's not diagnosed. But then we have diseases that are diagnosed. So when we start to experience these diseases, we can eliminate all of that, most of it, if not all of that, if we are doing better. But we don't have that in our medical field, because we're all dollar signs. We are all dollar signs for most people in that industry, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the modern practices like Eastern medicine and indigenous cultures, it's not about the money. It's about the health and well-being of their community. And so that is why these practices exist, because they're at some point in time were our ancestors who genuinely cared about our species.
Hmm. And I would say that's probably the biggest difference between the East and the Western, right? Is that
Right.
the Western is the dollar sign and the Eastern is more community oriented in the practices that they do and why they're doing them. So I think you nailed that right. Hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's everything. I did have one more, but I don't know. I read somewhere that there are 5 Reiki concepts. Is that true?
Mhm.
And if so, can you give us what those 5 are?
Yes. So these concepts or principles or ideals um, are on Usui Sensei's tombstone, and they are to be happy, to not, or let me go into exactly word for word. So don't get angry, don't worry, be grateful, work honestly, and always be kind. And so these are, and Usui's words are the medicine of the Reiki, because when we live in these principles of not letting our minds be overcome by anger and worry, and we focus on what we do have, and we have gratitude for what we do have. And when we are working, we allow our work to be of service, not because we have to do it, but because we love to do it, because we are serving our community, because we have the opportunity to do something for someone else. So we work diligently and honestly, and we are kind to each other, not because we have to be, or because we expect kindness in return or expect anything in return, but we're just genuinely kind. These five principles ultimately lead to a happier and healthier life.
Okay. And I like that. And my pastor has preached on that before, especially the service part of us being, our lives being a life of service for Christ and so forth. So and those are not like some cult type things that people would try to make it out to be, you know what I'm saying? Like to be kind, to be slow to anger, to be grateful for the things you have. Like these are things that I have post-it notes on my mirror reminding me of on a daily basis as an affirmation. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate your openness, your candor, your being willing to talk about the verses and the comparisons and the misconceptions that's been put out there. Thank you so much. Do you want to leave us? Well, before you go, where are you located?
So I am located in Farmington Hills. I have a suite inside of Nuvana Wellness, which is a Black-owned business by a woman, which I'm so honored to work with her. She offers counseling, individual, marriage, family counseling, along with a few other services. But I'm located inside her building, and so if you are kind of in limbo with this Eastern and Western way of healing, here's a place that combines the two.
Okay.
She is a doctor. Um, she doesn't practice as a doctor at Nuvana Wellness, but she offers counseling services and recovery coaching and whatnot. So I'm located in Farmington Hills, 8 Mile and Grand River. My website is transitionsbytruth.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Transitions by Truth. And as far as outside of Reiki, which is still a part of Reiki, which is my jewelry, I'm online, and I do a lot of pop-ups around the city. So if you're following me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll find where I'm at this weekend, or actually it doesn't matter, because I just forgot this isn't airing until later, so I won't even shout out where I'm going to be this weekend.
Well, and I'm sorry, I meant to bring up the jewelry because I went to the site and both of the bracelets I wanted you were sold out of. So I was like, oh my gosh, she sold out of both of those. I did see a pair of earrings though, and a necklace that I like, but I said I was going to hold out and see if that bracelet was going to come back in stock.
Well, let me know what bracelet it was, because I can also recreate it for you, possibly.
Okay.
I also, because I do offer a lot outside of Reiki, I'm also offering yoga. I do community yoga offerings as well as private yoga offerings, um, outside of Reiki healing and Reiki teaching and creating. So I'm doing a lot of different things. And so with that being said, taking pictures of everything and getting all of my inventory uploaded online um, doesn't happen as often as it should. So with that being said, I do have a lot more inventory than what you see online. And if you do see something online that you like and you're like, oh, I really, really like this, I may be able to recreate that for you. So just, take a screenshot and send it to me, and I can probably hook you up.
Okay. And I know I keep saying I'm gonna let you go, but the sound bath.
I am not in a rush.
Okay, good. I be trying
I'm
to
more worried about your time because I will get on a tangent where I will start rambling and I'll be like, damn, what was I talking about at first? I gotta circle it back around.
No, because I try to tell people, oh, I'm only going to keep you an hour. And then I always end up going over the hour. So I'm trying to get better with time. But the sound baths, I just saw that last night on one of my little ratchet shows, and they was doing the sound bath meditation. And I'm like, how does that really help you meditate if you're supposed to be there laying quietly, your eyes closing, you're breathing softly, and then somebody comes and hit this? Like, give me the wave energy of the sound bath.
So this is something that I recently got into this year. So I'm still fairly new to it. I've been working with like Tibetan singing bowls, which are the brass ones, the metal ones. For a while, I've had one glass singing bowl, which I need to figure out which pitch that is because I haven't tested that one. But every instrument has its own frequency, and each frequency offers its own type of healing, or what area of the body it targets, or and not just like the physical body, or like what area inside the physical body, but there are certain frequencies that focus only on the physical body. There are certain frequencies that focus on the emotional body, which is where most of the healing is needed. A lot of our physical issues come from emotional blocks.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation, but it's a lot of physical things usually stem from emotional blocks. So there's some frequencies that focus mainly on the emotional body. There's some that focus only on the mental body. There's some that focus only on the aura. So there's different frequencies for different different realms of healing. As far as how do you get into the meditation, all I can say is how could you not? Because and if you're and I want to say that listening to a sound bath, even when you have headphones on, like when you're listening to something on a television or on social media, when you're not listening to it in person, it's just not the same. Like the headphones can help, but it's just not the same than being in person. And so the frequencies from these different instruments, specifically working with the bowls, you can feel the waves. Like when you're in person with the bowls, you can feel the waves of energy and where they hit you if you allow yourself to just like focus on where you feel it the most in your body. And so I'm assuming you haven't experienced the sound bath in person yet.
No, I have not. But these are like things on my to-do list.
Okay, we're gonna have to get you a sound bath.
Because I'm in this era now where I'm like, you know what? I want to just start trying new things. I want to venture out. I don't want to be closed-minded or just trapped in this box anymore. So it's definitely on my list to do. And that's why it's so amazing that we connected, because like I said, I've been watching these things on TV for a few years now. And I always say, I'm gonna try that. I want to try that. I wonder what that's like. And then we connected, and it's just so happened you do it. So I'm like, okay, now I have somebody I can go to and get this done. You know what I'm saying? And feel comfortable enough and safe enough to allow myself to go into that vulnerable state.
Yeah, and I can totally understand where you're coming from, going into that vulnerable state. I would say, going back to your question, is coming into the body with full openness and receptivity. And yes, it is vulnerable and a little scary at times. But if we come back to those principles, right, that they're not just Usui's ideas. I mean, we hear these in the gurus' books and in the Bible and all of these many different teachings of how when we don't allow ourselves to be overcome by fear and anger, but fear specifically in this case, because vulnerability it involves a fear of
Yeah.
unknowingness, of what's going to happen, what to expect. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lay here. Is anyone looking at me? Is someone going to touch me? What's going to happen? Is there a bug?
Okay.
What's that sound over there? So that, the fear happens. And so vulnerability is a very powerful tool in the healing journey, actually, when you allow yourself to experience fear and move past it. So I totally understand where you're coming from when you're like, man, how do I allow myself to get into this meditation, especially if you haven't experienced it before? Um, and my suggestion would be, if this is something that you're wanting to try, I'd say first start with allowing yourself to sit in silence and find some, maybe YouTube or Apple Music or Spotify. Um, find a good quality audio and use headphones preferably. Again, being in person and hearing it on a audio device is not the same, but just allow yourself to get used to sitting in that stillness and listening and allowing yourself to feel and bringing your awareness into the body and noticing what comes up for you and just being open to whatever comes up for you. I would say start there first. If you're anyone who is nervous about going in public and experiencing a sound bath, because I will say this, healing is not just sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of deep stuff that I know myself I've suppressed, and many of
Yeah.
us, if especially if we have that fear, there's some things that need to be healed if we're experiencing fear in the body. And so when we go into things like yoga, Reiki, sound bath, meditations, everybody's experience is unique and different. And so some things can come up so profoundly for you that you may experience yourself feeling overwhelmed and wanting to cry, or um, wanting to feel isolated to process. These things, they come up. So if you're unsure about doing that in a public setting, give yourself the opportunity to do it in the privacy of your own home. And then when you have the courage to do it in public, just know that, you know, healing is not linear. And just because if you experience it at home that you may have cried and maybe you didn't cry, that your experience in public may or may not be different.
Right.
You may have been fine at home, like, okay, I can go out in public, and you go out in public and you do a sound bath in person, and you may bawl your eyes out. And that's okay. And letting yourself know that that's okay, because crying is a beautiful way of healing. It's a beautiful way of releasing stagnant energy in the body. And I think a lot of us have that fear of crying in public, or experiencing or even expressing certain unpleasant emotions in public. And when you put yourself in an environment such as yoga and any type of healing tools, Reiki, yoga, massage, anything that involves healing at a deeper level, you're putting yourself in the position to heal. And so the unexpected will come up, or
Yeah.
it may not, but it will come up. So just having that understanding and acceptance that something may come up for you, and it's okay. That's why we hold these spaces, so that people can experience healing, whatever that looks like for you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like that. So, and you mentioned community yoga. So, does that just
Yes.
means it's a group yoga session compared to a private one-on-one? Okay.
Yes. Yep. So I offer at Nuvana Wellness every Monday night at 7 p.m. a community yoga class. Um, and this particular class I do have some more advanced yogis come in there, but they appreciate it too, because it's a more slower pace, for anyone who has not practiced yoga in a while or never practiced it at all. And they're like, I don't know where to start. This class will be ideal for you, because it is a class that we take our time and we make sure that everybody's on the same page with the postures, the forms, the movement, the breath. I also offer a class with Elevated Yogi on Thursdays. It's a cannabis friendly yoga class on Jefferson. That one is beginner friendly as well. Little bit more faster paced than the community yoga offered on Monday nights, but definitely, if you're a beginner and you have the will to give something new a try, that I believe you can do it.
Yeah, I a friend of mine, she does yoga, and she was like, "Oh, you should start doing yoga in the morning." And I started with the beginning courses, like the beginner classes on the YouTube channel. So it was like maybe 10 minutes
Yeah.
one to try to just get me in the mood. And I did it for maybe about 2 or 3 days. And I was like, you know what? I'm going back to my Australian guy. And I just went back to the aerobics. It was just like,
Okay.
the yoga, it was just holding myself up. I didn't realize how weak I was. I'm like, oh my God, I need to lose some more weight before I could do this.
Don't give up. Don't give up. It is, it definitely brings more awareness to like where our strength is
Yeah.
in the body. It's totally different from, I used to work at a gym and I consider myself to be very strong because I work out regularly run all the fitness and go
Right.
into yoga, and I'm just like, whew, man, it's different. In a sense that you are more aware in the body when you're practicing yoga, and you're also working different muscle groups than you work out in different routines. And so I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but I think that they all work well together. So if you're practicing a fitness regimen, yoga is really good for helping with releasing stiffness, tightness, because when we work out we put a
Mhm.
little strain on the muscles, a little
Yeah.
strain on the joints, and so yoga helps with that. And it also helps with just, and I kind of know I'm going off subject here, but yoga, that word means union. And so, union in the sense that when we practice yoga regularly, we are not only as a community bringing more awareness of how we are more alike than we are separate as as a human race, and just a species of just beings that exist on this planet. Like, I am the tree and the tree is me. Yoga brings that awareness into our mind, but also union between our mental, physical, spiritual body.
Yeah.
A lot of times we live our life very disconnected. We have the spiritual life, and then we have our physical life, and we kind of keep the two separated.
Mhm.
But yoga is a practice that helps us to bring the two together. So it has some very physical benefits, but it's also really helpful mentally and spiritually as well. And I encourage you to not give up on yourself. I know
You know
it's
what? I'm
challenging.
not. Because I do like the stretching. I do like
Yeah.
the stretching because, like you said, after I have done a couple of miles or I've gone to the gym or whatever it is, I do need to stretch. And like when I'm at the gym, I can use the little half monkey bar thingy, I guess is what they call
Hmm.
it, to kind of help you stretch or whatever, but you still don't get a really good stretch from
Hmm.
it. So like with yoga, yeah, I feel like I'll hear the bones pop in and or whatever, and I feel that stretch. So I just had to find some other ways to get through those moves that I was learning. So
Yeah.
I have my exercise ball. And on some of those things where it's hard for me to balance that upper body strength, then I kind of lean over the exercise ball for a little extra support and still can get
Yes.
the move done. You know what I'm saying? So I just found
Yeah.
ways to tweak it a little bit to make it more easier, for lack of a better word, for me to get
Yeah.
through that 10-minute routine. So
Right.
I could get through that 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the tools are there for us, right? Like the yoga ball or the fitness ball, and there's yoga balls, there's yoga wheels, there's yoga blocks, there's yoga straps, there's all these different tools. And just because we're using them doesn't mean that we are lacking or insufficient. Like these are tools to help strengthen our practice. And if you could just show up to your mat and in the act of just being present in your body and moving, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. It's a blessing. So, I know a lot of people get down on themselves for having to use tools. And I'm like, I've been practicing yoga since 2014 and I still use my yoga tools to this day. And I don't have any shame about it. Okay. Like
Right.
whatever form that you may have been able to get into yesterday, you may not be able to get into that today. Like for me, sometimes, I'll find myself some days tree form is a little easy where you're standing on one leg and you have like I may be on my left foot and then have my right foot to my either my calf or my ankle, either my ankle, my calf, or my inner left thigh. And I'm standing on one foot and I'm here. And some days I'm still and I'm able to bring my arms up and I'm able to wave and I can just keep my balance. And some days I'm just struggling getting my foot up to my calf. Some days I'm struggling to get my foot up to my thighs. So, a
Right.
lot of people get really discouraged with the forms in yoga. And it's really the practice really isn't about the form. It's really just about showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing that, you're doing it right.
But isn't that what everything is about, really showing up for ourselves? You
Exactly.
know?
Showing up.
Yeah, whether you are going to work, if you
Yes.
go to work, you need to show up and be present and be actively doing a high quality version of whatever job you're supposed to be doing, right? But you can't do
Right.
that if you don't show up mentally, physically
Right.
ready. In a relationship, you have to
Yes.
show up in your relationship. You have to be present
Yes.
and in the moment with your partner, listening, understanding, gaining wisdom and insight. And you know what I'm saying? So you could better know how to nurture that relationship. So with everything, we have to show up. And that's actually
Yes.
one of the quotes I put on the journals that I have is, you know, be present for yourself, show up and show out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
yeah, show up and show out. And it's something that I have to tell myself, like, be present and in the moment, show up and show out. This is your day. You can do this. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
it's constantly to remind myself and tell myself what my purpose is, what I'm supposed to be doing. Don't slack, don't give up, stay present, don't. And when I say stay present, I have to tell myself to stay present in the moment so my mind doesn't drift back
Yes.
something that was
And that's what the
hurtful.
mind does. Yeah, the mind
Yeah.
will. It will drift in the past, it will drift in the future, it'll drift over there and over there. And so showing up and being present with ourselves, the more we practice that, the more we're able to keep that hold on the mind where we can stay in the present moment. We don't get lost in those thoughts.
Yes,
Because
yes.
the
Because
mind, the
I've had to,
mind wanders.
yeah, because I've had to like
Mhm.
actually tell myself, like, oh, stop that thought. Like, don't do that. Don't go backwards. We're fine where we, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and and I say that that's devil play. When your mind is doing good and you're doing good, and you're being present and you're actively working towards your purpose or your goals, your dreams or whatever, and you're starting to feel stronger and in a better headspace and you're feeling good about yourself, he sneaks in and tries to get you to go backwards. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
He sneaks in to try to dim that light, dim that hope, dim that spirit that you have and take you backwards. And I literally
Right.
have to tell myself, like, no, we're not going to do that today. We're not having those thoughts. They have nothing to do with what we're doing. It has nothing
Right.
to do with the path that we're on. We're not going to let those thoughts come into play and mess up our day, or throw a wrench in our plan. So is really a constant every day, throughout the day, several times a day type of a step that you have to take with yourself to keep you in that positive headspace.
Yes. And not just positive, but just present,
Yeah.
just present. Yeah. Cause we can, we do get lost in our mind, and our mind, I mean, that's what the mind does. The mind thinks. And, and the fact that it does think, we use it to our advantage because we need it to think when we are making plans and calculating and all these other things. But then when we don't need it to think, we have to remind ourselves, like you said, we're here. We're going to show up right now in this present moment and show out. Whatever happened yesterday doesn't matter. What's going to happen tomorrow, we don't know.
Right.
There's actually a quote. I don't know. I don't even think there was a name written. I think it's unknown, but it says, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is the present. That's why we call it a gift. And each moment is a gift. Each
Yeah.
moment is a gift, and we miss out on it. We really miss out if we continue to allow ourselves to live in the past and live in the future. We miss out on what is here and what is now. Like, just admiring this, what it looks like, a phoenix behind you,
It is.
admiring
Yes. That
admiring the phoenix, admiring the glow of your skin, admiring the literature that you're surrounded by, admiring your jewelry, the colors, like just really being present,
yeah, yeah. And that's my Phoenix rising, because I've gone through some things, and not everybody knows everything, and but I've gone through some things, and the last 5 years, 6 years probably were the hardest of my journey. And I came through it, and I rose, and I came out of it better than I went into it. I came out stronger. I came out with a new light and a fire that I didn't have before. So that's why I wanted my Phoenix lady to represent my brand when I
I
said
love
I'm
it.
going to start a business and this is what I want. Because I
Phoenix
wanted
rising.
people to see, like, yes, I'm rising from the ashes, I'm rising from the fire. And God did this. He's risen me, and he's made me better, a better person, a better mom, a better friend, a better individual to myself, because that's where it needed to start, with me being a better individual to myself, because I think I was already a good friend. I believe I was already a good mom, but I wasn't good to myself. And that's my reminder to stay good to me, that,
Why is that always the hardest?
It is, right?
It's always the hardest. Like, we would never talk to anyone else the way we talk to ourselves.
Girl, no, I wouldn't.
Well,
I'm
I
so
would put
politically
myself
correct out
down.
here in these streets.
you know, there's
Yeah.
some things that I catch myself telling myself, and I'm like, you wouldn't say that to somebody else. Why would you say that to yourself? So
Yeah.
it's always the hardest, doing, loving on ourselves, being a better person for ourselves. It does
We
it
put
does tend to
ourselves
be the
last
hardest.
on the list of responsibilities, of things to be taken care of. We're like the last people there on the list, and we should actually be the first person, because if we're
Right.
not taking care of ourselves, if we're not mentally, physically, spiritually, even financially whole, or happy, or in a good place, then we don't know how to be for other people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's a lack there. And when I was in a bad place, as good as I may have been to my friends, or whatever, there was still that lack there, because I wasn't 100%
Right.
with me to be able to give them 100% of anything. So,
Right.
was it done out of love? Yes. But was it 100% authentic? No,
No.
because I wasn't 100% authentic. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn that, and figure out how to treat myself better, how to love myself more. And then I had to realize what I thought I was doing to show myself love wasn't. It was just pacifying. It was just, yeah, it was just smoking mirrors, but it
Right.
wasn't real. And I had to rework all of that and learn. It was like learning how to walk all over again, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
Relate.
we are so hard on ourselves.
I want to show you one of my first tattoos is a phoenix.
Oh, yay!
Is a phoenix. So I totally relate with you, of like rising out of the ashes. rising up out of the ashes and being resurrected in a new light. In a new
Yeah.
light.
A
Yes.
new light in a new way. And it's been great. Like I've been
Yes.
faithfully her for a little over a year now. And it's been absolutely wonderful. God has just been opening so many more doors and avenues and of where he wants this thing to go. And I am just his passenger. I am strapped up and I'm ready for the ride. So,
There you go.
you know, don't know exactly what tomorrow is going to hold, but I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm here for it. I really want to thank you. Or do you want to leave us with any, you know what? No, I'm sorry. I still have one more thing to talk about. You
It's
teach.
okay.
So you teach, right? So if I'm a student,
Yes.
what am I gaining or what am I getting from my certification courses with you?
With Reiki. So with the
Yes.
Reiki certification courses, um, in order to practice Reiki, you need to learn from a Reiki master. That is the traditional way of passing the Usui teachings through a lineage. So what you can expect is learning about first the history of Reiki, learning about Usui Sensei, Hayashi Sensei, Takata Sensei, so the Grand Masters of Reiki, and how Reiki came into our Western world. You will learn how to um, be more authentic, um, and be a full expression of your authentic self. You will learn these to live more into the principles of Usui, which are not necessarily Usui's principles, but these are what he includes in his teachings. And so, what I usually like to do, and I invite you to do so, and anyone else who's listening, this is one fun activity that we do in our level 1 class is when we learn these principles and we talk about them. It's super easy to say, don't be angry, don't worry, be grateful, work honestly, and be kind. And so what I assign is to put these principles in your own words and speak them how you would speak them. What do they sound like coming from your heart?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so beautiful in hearing the many ways people express how they um, affirm and intend, because these are intention settings, these are affirmations.
Right.
How they affirm not to allow anger to overcome them, not to allow fear. So mine, for example, is I choose love over fear. I choose love over anger. I maintain a constant awareness of all the blessings that are surrounding me at all times. I offer my service through compassion and diligence and extend kindness to all beings because everyone is deserving. So, putting those 5 principles in your words and practicing them daily. Because when you practice them daily, it's kind of like we're just retraining the brain, retraining the brain to remember these things, and they become a part of who you are, not just intentions and affirmations, but they are who you are
Yes.
and how you express yourself. So that's something that you can expect. A part of the so there's in the traditional form and the traditional setting of learning Reiki, there's what's called an attunement. And many practitioners who still practice the traditional Usui lineage, the attunement process, there is a hands-on passing of the Reiki. Whereas and I guess that's one of the main differences with Holy Fire as well, is in the teachings and not in the actual healing session itself, is that um, when you are attuned to the Reiki energy, instead of it being a physical process, it is a purely spiritual process where the student is given the opportunity to align with source and align with Reiki on their own through a guided visualization. So I do the guided visualization. The purpose of the guided visualization is to expand the mind, open up the mind, guide the mind to a point of receptivity. And so once the student is in that state of receptivity, the intention of receiving that attunement, the process can begin more in alignment to source than an alignment with me,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So that is a part of the class. Working with the crystal grid. So there is a Reiki grid that the ICRT designed, and they are located strategically at the crown and root chakras of the earth, literally the magnetic north and south pole of the earth, to help raise the consciousness of our earth and promote peace on earth. And there's also one in the old city of Jerusalem. So we learn to work with the crystal grid to offer healing, to offer world peace meditations, to do distance healings, to empower goals. The grids can be used for a number of things. So we work with the crystal grids. We learn different techniques, like I mentioned earlier, that we don't only offer hands-on healing. There is, healing within the aura. There is Gyoshi Ho, where you send Reiki with the eyes. There is distance healing, where you don't even have to be in the same country and still hold space for healing for another person. So that is offered in the certification course. What else? What am I missing? There's a lot.
Okay.
So each course, so standard courses are about 3 to 4 hours. Like, to become certified to offer Reiki, traditionally it's only about 3 to 4 hours. But with the Usui Holy Fire, we are instructed to teach a minimum of 8 hours. And so, 8 hours in one day is a long day. People got jobs and kids and families and whatnot. So I usually break them down into 2 weeks. We do one class usually on a Sunday, 1 week for 4 hours, and then we'll meet the following week on the following Sunday for 4 hours. So in that time in between, the students are given the opportunity to not only create their own principles in their own words, or put the principles in their own words, but also practice some of the teachings, and we can come back and talk about it. So it's a little bit, when you're coming into a Transitions by Truth class, it's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more thorough than some classes offer. And not saying that that's better or anything like that, but I do like to take my time and make sure that everyone is receiving everything that they need in order to be fully empowered to not only practice with Reiki, but also to empower their own lives to be more in alignment with their authentic self. And I think that's the ultimate goal of my teachings, is helping people align with their authentic selves. And we talk a lot about cultural conditioning and this unlearning process of things that we have been taught, just because that's just how our society is structured, right? And just because we're taught these things doesn't make it right. And we believe things not because we believe them, but we believe them because we're taught this is what we should believe. And so in my class, we revisit some of those beliefs and ideals, and accept what aligns with us. And maybe what aligns for me doesn't align for another student, and that's okay. The point of it all is to be more in alignment with your authentic self, to be more in alignment with what feels right for you, not because someone told you that this is how you should think or feel or act or believe. So that's a big part of the class as well, because we need that more. Too often we're told how we should think, how we should dress, how we should be, how we should feel, how we should do anything. And realistic and in reality, doing all of that is causing us more harm than good, because it's stressful. It's like, oh, am I doing this the right way? Am I doing this the wrong way? And we're people pleasing. We're doing things because we think this is going to make someone else happy, but again, not regarding our own well-being. And so that is a big part of the class, is like really tuning into the heart and feeling into what feels right for you, and not subscribing to the expectations of others. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I offer.
But that's good though, because I was just having this conversation. So weird. I was just having this conversation. Um, I spent a lot of my life being told, don't say that, or
Mhm.
no, you can't do that, or okay, your feelings, we don't need to hear about that. We don't like brush those feelings, put them away, move past it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just feeling
Mhm.
like I was stifled a lot.
Right.
Um, and this new me is like,
Yes. Hello.
right. She is like, I'm not gonna be stifled anymore. I'm not coming out here guns blazing and just being rude
Right.
and disrespectful, but no, I'm speaking up for me now. And I'm
Right.
saying
You have
how
a
I
voice.
feel. Right. I'm going to speak my voice now. And if it's hurtful to you, all I can say is I'm sorry. I hope you would get past that hurt at some point in time, but that's just how I feel. And I was having this conversation, and it was actually with my son. And he was pretty much discounting my feelings. Like, well, Ma, you just shouldn't say anything. Or Ma, you making it too much. Or that. And I'm like, this is the problem. Everybody
Mhm.
is so accustomed to me being quiet and me being silent and me not speaking up that now when I do speak up, it creates a problem.
Right.
It shouldn't even be a problem. It's just me voicing my thoughts. I'm voicing my opinion. I'm just if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect you. So why create a problem from it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I kept telling him, like, it's not right for you to tell me that my feelings are unjustified or
Right.
that I should shove my feelings down or not speak on them because they're not used to hearing me speak my feelings. That's for them to adjust to, not for,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And we had like a real conversation, like to the point I was so angry with him for like a week. I didn't even want to talk to him for like a week. And then he caught on and he was like, you know what, Ma, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have told you that. And then we was able to have that conversation and I could move past it. But he realized like my mom is angry. She's not talking to me. Like I'm talking to him, but I'm not talking to him. Everything was just like, hey,
Right.
what's going on? Usually I'm like, hey, baby, mommy loves you.
Right.
Then I was just like, yeah, okay, we'll
The
probably
bare minimum.
right. You know what I'm
Bare
saying? So
minimum.
he picked up on that and decided to offer the apology to get us back to where we were.
Yeah.
But my thing to him is I can't keep living this life of saying what they feel I should say or doing what they feel I should do, being this person that is making everybody else happy and I'm the one that's miserable. I can't
Right.
keep living that way. I'm about to be 48 years old. When will I start living for me if I continue that? You know what I'm saying? Like when does it become okay for me to just be happy and live in my truth, in my juices, and everything else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And be happy in that space without having to worry about what type of backlash I'm going to get from all those people who are not happy with the way I'm choosing to live my life. I
Right.
don't owe these people anything. You know what I'm saying? And I shouldn't have to continue to be that. And I always say, since my mom passed, it's a whole new ball game because she was that barrier that kept me silent. She knew all of these feelings. She knew how I felt, but she wouldn't let me take them outside of the house. It was, no, you can't. Oh my God, you can't say that. Are you crazy? No, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a great thing that you are teaching that level or that aspect of being authentic and to be true to who you are, not to be malicious, but to just be true to who you are, because that
Right.
matters so much for your inner peace and your inner happiness. And I'm happier now probably than I've ever been.
Good. Good. And I mean, and that's usually how it is, right? When we are suppressing so much that it's in our mind, It's in and of course our mind, our thoughts are mostly the root of our
Mm-hmm.
energy of our body, of our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body. And then it's in our physical body. And then we start to feel these physical symptoms. We're tired.
Yeah.
We don't feel good. My stomach hurts. My head hurts. I got a headache. We experience all these different bodily symptoms. And it's a lot of it comes from suppressing emotions. And
Insomnia. I'm sorry not to cut you off, but
that's where
insomnia because your mind
insomnia,
won't turn off now.
not
Now
able
you
to
can't
sleep,
sleep.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and this is not just what I teach, but this is a part of the Holy Fire teachings is of stepping into the expression of your authentic self. And it's really unfortunate that for many of us, we were raised that way. We were raised to be a good boy, a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Good girls don't cry. Good boys don't cry. Like we're not taught to feel and express our emotions. Of course, negative emotions like anger, I'm not saying that parents should allow their kids to just go out and just throw tantrums out in public, but at the same time, we shouldn't be teaching our kids to suppress these feelings. Like we need to help children understand these emotions and give them the opportunity to talk about them,
Right.
to express them, to
Right.
really have conversations. And if you're angry and you're upset, maybe take a time out. And when you're ready to talk about it, we can talk about it. You're
Yeah.
upset. I see you seem upset. Okay, you need some space or you want to talk about it now, but we aren't raised that way. It's like, no, do as you're set, do as you're told. Do as you are told. You are to be seen, not heard.
Right.
This is unfortunately the way a lot of us grow up. And so we at that our parents, you think about our parents are our source of housing and food, shelter. Like we depend on our parents for so much. And so we want to make our parents happy. We want to make our parents proud.
Mm-hmm.
We want to obey them. And so we learn these behaviors of people pleasing at that point.
Yeah.
And we learn these behaviors of certain emotions are just not
Are
acceptable
not acceptable.
for are not acceptable. So these are emotions that when I go out into the world, I can't share these with anybody. And it's really sad. So the Holy Fire teachings are a way of uprooting that, because this suppressing our emotions is a root of a lot of our suffering. Not being able to express our emotions, not being able to live in our authenticity, growing up and people pleasing, finding ourselves in professions that we don't even like because we are taught to just do as we are told and obey, and we're suffering.
Yeah.
We are suffering. And this suffering that we are experiencing is just causing us more harm, more and more and more harm. I'm going to be really brief with this one story. So I mentioned to you I was working in a healthcare field, and there were so many factors. Like I really loved what I was doing and I was very passionate about it. But at the same time, there was very little that I could do because I worked for corporate, a
Okay.
multi-billion-dollar corporation. So there were, we can only help people to a certain extent. And it's just like, this just doesn't make any sense. And it became so stressful for me to see people suffering the way that they were. And we sort of pretending to be like this company that
That
helps them, but
care.
that cares.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I go to my upper hands. Like I worked in the field, so I relied on people in the office to kind of like, this is what they need and kind of like get what they need. So we kind of worked as a team to do that, but it didn't happen that way. And I felt like I had no support. And so me being the compassionate person that I am, I probably took on more stress than I should have, because then I was doing the extra work that I had thought that I would get from the office, but I wasn't getting that because no one genuinely cared about these people. It was just basically putting a a mask on to say we are this great corporate because we care about people. So I got so stressed in this position to where I started getting sick. I started, I also had the concussion back in 2016, which I, practicing with Reiki and yoga, I would say overall I was able to do pretty well as a functioning participant of my community. Um, bounce back into working and doing all these things, but then also with having this stress, I started losing my vision. This was like long after the concussion, but I started losing my vision. But guess what side? This side. Started
Wow.
having migraines. Started having some skin conditions, just a few different things with my body. And I was constantly taking time off to go to the doctor. And it was just little stuff. So it didn't seem, before the vision, it was just little things. So it didn't seem like anything major, like, oh, I have a rash. And then it goes away and then it comes back. And I'm like, what is going on? So I go to the doctor, and they're like, oh, no, we don't know what it is. Here's some medicine, you
Yeah.
know, I got this going on. My asthma was bothering me. Just a number of things, just taking time off of work to go to the doctor. And it got to the point I'm like, I don't have any vacation time left. Where did all my vacation time go? Oh, taking time off because I'm constantly sick. And it got to the point where my vision started getting bad. I was losing it. First was blurry, and then it got to the point where it was just getting dark in this left eye where I couldn't see at all. I was so stressed in my job. And then one day, God had to just knock me upside the head. It's like, hello, I've been trying to communicate with you. And
Yeah.
I had an anxiety attack, and I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
Mm.
I never discounted anxiety attacks, but never knew, like, I would hear about it, especially in my profession, knowing people that were taking Xanax and other prescribed medications for constant anxiety attacks. I'm like, man, how do people have anxiety attacks? I've never experienced that. And I had one, and I said, what in the world? And
Yeah.
so I had to sit with spirit, and I had to make that was the hardest decision I had to make in my life, was to leave that job. And that's actually when I quit working and started doing transitions by truth full time. Was when I left that job, because I was doing both. And I left that job, and when I say my health has like taken a turn for the better, like everything, my vision has come back, to a point where when my last eye check, this eye is stronger. Where
Oh,
I was,
wow.
yes, this eye is much stronger than even before the concussion, where my vision was kind of like slowly deteriorating. My vision in this left eye is getting stronger.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so it's just, I share this story because, again, going into um, how we push our emotions down, we put ourselves last, we put everybody else first. We are, chasing money. We're in our careers and we think that our jobs are everything, that we need these jobs, that we need people's approval, that we need to silence ourselves.
Yeah.
And I share this because that will kill you. It
Yes.
will kill you. We talk about, institutionalizing people for suicide. That is slow suicide.
Ooh.
By not living into your authenticity, by people pleasing, by not finding a way to express your emotions, if not to someone else, to a journal, something,
Yeah.
we have to be more connected with ourselves. And so yeah, that's a part of the teaching is just living in our authenticity. And when I left that job, when I say I was able to live in my fullest authenticity, because I really wasn't, I had this double lifestyle where I was living this way, that I went to work, I had to abide by their code of conduct as an employee and how I performed in my job role,
Yes.
regardless of my beliefs and what I practice outside of work. So I'm like, I really wasn't living in my authenticity. I was living this kind of double lifestyle and reverberating scripted words that I didn't even believe in, but I
Right.
had to because this was my job,
Yes.
just having to have faith to just let go. Um, living in your authenticity is the greatest gift of existence, and just being able to be at one with who you are, and loving yourself and allowing that love for yourself be expressed outwardly. It
Yeah.
is to the capacity is far greater when you are loving on yourself. Like you said yourself, you do things out of love when you put others first. But when you don't put yourself first, it's not authentic.
Yeah.
It's not authentic, and we're not offering the best that we can offer others when we don't take care of ourselves first.
Right, right. I
Oh.
love that. And it's funny because sometimes you would think like, am I able to love myself?
Mhm.
And what does loving myself really look like? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If I really do this, what is gonna happen? It's a scary place when you step into that, because things are about to change, and it might get a little weird, but you don't know
Oh no, it's gonna get a lot of weird, not a
why.
little bit, a lot of weird. You just
But
gotta roll with
it
it.
has to happen, right? It has to
Yeah.
happen. You have to do it, and you're like, Lord, be with me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it's a beautiful thing on the other side of it. It really, really is.
Yes.
Um, are we missing anything?
Let's see. We talked about Reiki. We talked about yoga. We talked about the sound bath. We talked about the teachings. What to expect in a Reiki session, where I'm located.
We talked about
Jewel.
jewelry a little
We
bit.
talked about the jewelry. Yep. And
So what
again,
are your
everything is
jewelries made from? I saw like some crystal stones going on with the necklace. They have the crystals. Now, do they have any special meanings of the materials or anything that you're using with your jewelry?
yes. So gemstones, each precious and semi-precious gemstone has its own energetic properties. And it is very fascinating if you really get into the rock world. I can really geek out on rocks and their formations and whatnot. Um, but I've actually have gone as far as mining, and I think that's where I've really got sucked into it. It's like digging the crystals out of the earth myself. But each
Wow.
crystal, yeah, each crystal has its own vibration, just like everything is energy. We look at a rock, it doesn't look like it's moving, but if you have a crystal, just look at it and just really like pay close attention to its structures. And if it's a crystal you keep for 5 years down the line, look at that crystal again. I mean, really like write about it. Like on this side, I see maybe a fissure or like a little crack or maybe a little rainbow aura or something. And then look at this crystal in 5 years. These crystals are constantly transforming, even when we pull them out of the earth, even when they are polished and holes are drilled in them. These crystals are living entities, and they hold healing vibrations. And so when I work with the crystals, because they do hold healing vibrations, I also put Reiki energy into the crystals to help magnify the energetic properties that they offer. So we have like some of our common crystals are like quartz, like clear quartz is really good for clarity. It's a very high vibrational stone that connects with our crown chakra, really opens up our connection to source and connection to spiritual guidance. Another common stone is, I'm kind of going through the chakras. So, like for our third eye, would be like an amethyst. An amethyst crystal is really good for connecting with insight. It's also good for if you're an overthinker, calming the mind. Usually, when our mind is racing, we feel a little anxious or a little tense. So, carrying a little amethyst around really is helpful with calming that. I've actually, being someone who has been in multiple um, traumatic incidents in cars specifically, and I don't know what that is, where that came from in this lifetime, but multiple. I meet people, I'm like, you've never been in one car accident? I've been in several. Um,
Wow.
but being someone who has a trauma with cars, I keep amethyst in my car, and it really does help to calm my nerves. And then if I do find myself in a very tense situation on the road, I'll grab my amethyst and just hold it in my hand as I'm driving, and I'll feel better. And I keep also Palo Santo, which is a sacred wood. So there's sage and Palo Santo, which are like herbs that we use to cleanse our space. So
Okay.
Palo Santo is just the bark or the wood of a tree that they break down into like a little stick that you can burn to sage. And then there's white sage. You can even use like regular sage that you grow in your garden that we eat. You can use that to burn to clear the space as well. So I use those as tools as far as like our throat chakra, maybe like a lapis lazuli, which is like a very communicative stone. It opens up our creative expression. The lapis lazuli, so very strong in the throat chakra of expressing yourself. So if you're having a hard time really expressing your emotions or expressing yourself creatively, lapis lazuli is a great stone for that. Going into the heart chakra, a common stone for heart chakra that people are very drawn to is rose quartz, which is a very
Okay.
beautiful and wonderful stone for self acceptance, compassion, love, very unconditional love for yourself, and just allowing yourself to be an expression of that love that you have for yourself for others. Going into solar plexus, we have let's see, there's a couple: tiger's eye, citrine. I'm gonna say citrine. It's a yellow stone. Actually, I have a citrine bracelet on. I like to wear it at all times. It's a very translucent stone here, but
Okay.
it'll be sometimes dark, sometimes lighter. But citrine is a very powerful stone for manifesting, and our solar plexus in this area is very connected to our will to act, our will um, to manifest, to do. And so this stone helps with aligning with those energies in our sacral chakra, so that we will have that that drive to act, to
Okay.
put action behind our thoughts and our intentions. Sacral, which is in the belly area, near the navel. Um, let's say carnelian, an orange stone, which is really good. Another good stone for creative expression. So our throat and our sacral area are two areas for expressing ourselves. So like, when you say I have a gut feeling about something, like
Yeah.
we feel in our guts, like our stomach, we have these feelings here. So when we're not, if our sacral chakra area is out of alignment, um, we won't really feel
Right.
our gut instincts. We won't really feel those. So the carnelian's good for awakening those gut instincts, also um connecting with sensuality and creativity. And then down at the base of the spine is root, maybe like an obsidian or a red jasper. Obsidian is a black stone. It's a really powerful stone for grounding.
Okay.
And our root is a very our root is a much more lower vibration than our crown chakra. So the
Mhm.
root is it's sometimes more difficult for people to maintain a balance in that area. So obsidian is a crystal that helps with grounding and finding that sense of purpose in life, of like existence, of being and wanting to be here, and survival, not just for yourself but for others. So that was just a few crystals that align with the different energy centers of the body. But each crystal, yeah, they do all have their energetic healing properties. And so everything that I create, I also enhance with Reiki energy.
Okay. Well, thank you, because I didn't know how many stones it was, and all, and I'm sure it's way more than that. That's
Oh,
was so
way
much
more.
more.
Way more. I
Um.
mean, there's multiple stones that work with each chakra too. Like I just kind of just
Okay.
pulled out of the top of my mind, like, okay, this stone for this chakra. But you'll have multiple stones for root. So like for your root, you have obsidian, red jasper, hematite, tourmaline. Like there's so many different crystals that work with each specific chakra that can help balance each chakra. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you said that you could do certain things and you don't even have to be in the same room.
Yes.
We don't have to do like a full-blown session, but I'm just wondering, can you give me a taste of it through the Zoom? What
Yes,
do I need to do?
absolutely.
So tell me what to do.
So so you really don't have to do anything. And so for distance healing, You don't even act, we don't have to be on the call, but it's nice that you're here, and we'll get a taste of it. But with distance healing, it works more in alignment with the Reiki energy and directing it towards a person. So like I don't even have to be talking to you on a phone. I don't have to give you a time of day of when I'm going to be sending you distance Reiki. When I send distance Reiki, like it ultimately just starts to work in your highest good and in your highest favor. But since we are here, let's go ahead and just close the eyes if that feels safe and comfortable for you. Bring your awareness into your heart space. See if you can notice the breath. And as you come into your heart space, see if you can see your light, whatever that looks like. It can be any shape, any color, but see if you can find your light within your heart and sit with it. And as you sit with your light, I just want to offer this prayer to God, the Holy Spirit, Holy Fire, Jesus, Jesus Christ, the blood of Jesus Christ. I ask for you to be with Leanna, see her light and hold her light with her, uplift her light, and allow her light to shine brighter and brighter for her own highest and greatest good, but for the highest and greatest good of all, harming none, living in alignment with the Holy Spirit, in alignment with love and compassion for all. I ask for her light to be a source of her healing in her physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body. I ask for her light to be a healing for her community and for her family and for all those that she encounters. I ask that you continue to heal her beyond this call, beyond this day, and that you watch over her and protect her. Continue to guide her in her purpose that is alignment with your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
You know it's crazy. I closed my eyes. I took a few deep breaths. You said to find your light. And I was seeing flashes of like peach and like peach pastel type colors passing. But then as you started praying, I felt my head drop back. It felt like it was so heavy. Like if I wasn't sitting down, I probably would have just fell backwards. But in that moment, those peach pastel colors, everything turned bright. And my head got heavier and heavier the brighter it got. Wow. Thank you.
You are so welcome. It is my pleasure.
I was going to ask you what my energy was feeling like, but I think you probably already know.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So that's just an example of a distance healing. And so, and also doing the distance healing and in addition to the prayers, in my mind's eye, I am drawing, and when I'm taking those pauses, I am also envisioning there's a distance healing symbol that we use, and there's a holy fire healing symbol. So I'm just kind of like offering those symbols into the prayers to send those your way.
So is that like normal for some people to say, hey, I started off with this color, but then it turned into this?
Yes, it's very common. I wouldn't say normal, but it's common. Um, in most healing experiences, and even in um, the attunement process, um, in both practices, you'll usually really light gets very, 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 very bright. And that's your light ultimately. That's you connecting with who you are authentically, and your authentic self being revealed to you and saying, here I am you, I align with you, we are each other, and we're gonna, whatever comes our way, we're gonna get through this together. And um so yeah, it's very common. Most people, most colors that people see will probably start out as like rainbow or purple or gold, but the most common one is just like a bright, bright, bright light.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's you. That's who we are. You know, we look in the mirror and we see our skin, we see our eyeballs, we see our facial features, we see our tattoos if you have any, we see our jewelry, we see our hair, and all these things that make us up. But we are so much greater than that. We are our light. And so when you go inside and you see that light, that is you seeing yourself.
Yeah, because it, like I said, it was peach, like a pastel, like peach. And then it's like once my head got heavy to where I was like struggling to like, oh, my head is heavy. Then all of a sudden on this side, it just got really, really bright. And it was just like a
Mm,
bright light on this side. And it felt
mm.
warm, like not hot, like, oh my God, it's hot. It was just like a warm feeling.
Warm sensation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So usually, and I guess that's one thing I kind of left out of the whole conversation. And I've been practicing for so long, some things I forget to kind of touch on. So in healing sessions, whether it's a in person, hands on, or gyoshi, or any technique that we use in Reiki healing, it's normal to experience that. So usually, when you feel warming sensations, sometimes you'll experience tingling, pulsing in certain areas of the body. So if you're feeling it, it looks like that's your right side of your body.
Yes.
So you're right. So if you're feeling it on your right side of your body, then the Reiki is being drawn to that area because there may have been some imbalances there. And so it's just clearing out anything that does not serve your highest and greatest good.
Okay.
And allowing your authentic self to come through in the process of healing yourself. But yeah, usually during Reiki sessions, you will experience warmth, tingling, pulsing, magnetism. I don't know if that's a word, but magnetic sensations.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some sensations that you will feel during the healing process, and those sensations that you feel is usually the Reiki energies is being drawn into the area. And when you feel those sensations, you just know that the Reiki is working.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been so enlightening. I feel great. I am like,
Awesome.
I can't wait for us to do more things together in the future.
Yes.
I am going to jump on your Instagram and find out where you are. I'm going to try. I have several, I'm like already kind of solid for this weekend, but maybe
Okay.
your next pop-up, your next event, I could come out and support you in person. I
Okay.
love to support people. I am that person where if you come on here, I am there to support you in anything else that you're doing. So I show up, okay?
I appreciate it. I definitely
Yeah,
appreciate
I
it.
do. So I definitely want us to stay in touch, stay in contact with each other. I want to experience some things firsthand with you and just really just delve into this. Like I feel great. I do. I feel great. Like my stomach was growling like 10 minutes ago and now I feel full. So
Nice.
like I feel great. Do you want to leave us with any final thoughts, any words of wisdom, anything?
Let's see. I mean, I'm always thinking. I'm a Gemini. I will say, the other day I was just thinking about how I love working with gems and like how we are like gems. We are like gemstones. I guess I can get really geeked out when I talk about the formation of crystals. So crystals, um, and I'll say specifically quartz, because that's the one I was able to actually witness firsthand. It starts out as just an empty space, an air pocket. And then we get like this clay that forms in, and it's all surrounded by dirt and the earth. And then it starts to crystallize and it forms. And as it forms, it grows. But as it grows, the only way that it can grow is through the heat and the pressure that it goes under. And so we are like those gemstones. We are, we come from nothingness into this being of human beings, this human being, um, or spiritual being having a human experience. So we come out of nothingness into this human form, and you know, and growing into our authentic selves and really stepping into our light, and growing into our preciousness or semi-preciousness of becoming the gems that we are. We experience these the heat, we experience the pressure, and not to allow those experiences, not to allow the heat and not to allow the pressure to overcome you, but to shape who you are as the beautiful gem that you are. Because
Yeah.
we're not always just going through transitions, we're growing through them. So
Hey,
allow those processes to help you to grow and evolve into the greatest person that you are, the greatest gem that you are, because you are beautiful. Not just saying that to you, Liana, but anyone who is
yeah.
watching and listening to this message. You are beautiful. You are unique. You are a gem. And just like any gem that is pulled out of the earth, that is still living and still growing, you are still living. You are still growing. So that's what I have to offer.
Hey man, that is beautiful. So you guys listen, all of Truth's information is going to be in the bio. I'm sorry, in the description box. So if you click on the description box, you'll get all of her information, the location at Nirvana Wellness in Farmington Hills, 8 Mile and Grand River area. You'll have her information for her website, her IG page, so you can follow her. You can go online and look at the services. You could contact her to book sessions, to learn more if you want to become a person who learns Reiki to possibly heal others, or you just want to be a client and go lay on the table.
Right.
You know,
I hear you. I hear you.
so all of that information will be in the description box for you down below. So make sure you click on those links and you reach out to her and you learn more. Sometimes the biggest, well, I'm not going to even say sometimes, the biggest problem I see is that we don't learn more about each other. We don't take the time to communicate, to ask the questions, to listen to the answers, and to have those open conversations where we're exchanging dialogue of just learning and loving each other. Just because you're different from me doesn't mean I can't love you. I can love you and you still have a different point of view than me, and it's okay, like we're people,
Absolutely.
right? We're all different for a reason, and the reason is not to fight
Hello.
each other, it's to
Right.
learn about each other and learn how we can come together. It's so many different common grounds that I'm pretty
Yes.
sure we have, like I didn't know this sister before, but we both share the Phoenix in common, and we share a
Right.
similarity in our rising stories as to why we chose that Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? So are we 100% alike? No, but we have something in common, right? And outside of just that, we have a commonality of love, of just
Mm.
wanting to be open to somebody else, to spread some love and some harmony and some peace somewhere in this world. So if we all can just kind of wrap our head around that, and keep that in the forefront, I think we'll all get along so much better in this world, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it'd be so much more tolerance and acceptance of each other instead of judgment and hate.
Right. We need more love. We need more love. But it
Yeah.
starts in here. It starts in here,
Yes, 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 yes. So everybody, we're gonna get out of here. I so enjoyed you, True. Thank you again so much. And I just want you to know, anytime you want to come on, I'm just a phone call away, and we will always make room and space and time just for you. Okay, so if you're doing anything new and you're like, hey, let me pop on and let the people know, you can always pop on and
Yes.
let the people know. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm going to be reaching out to you outside of here so we can get you in on that table.
Okay, because I love a
Yes.
table.
Yes. Yes. And also take a screenshot, and not just for you. If there's anything you see on my store that's out of stock, reach out to me. Let me know, say, hey, I really like this, but it looks like it's not available. Can you make it happen? And I also do custom orders too. So if there's something that you don't see, but you're like, I like this style, but I think I got a different stone in mind. I want to work with, amethyst instead of obsidian, but I really like how you did that. Like, let me know, reach out. You can contact me directly through the website. Leanne, you have my phone number. But my information on the website, and you can also contact me through Instagram for anyone that's watching or listening. Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if there's something you really like and you want to collab and work together on making that happen. I'm very flexible, and I love creating, so don't hesitate to contact me.
But good. Well, I won't be putting your phone number in the description box. That's just
I,
for me and you, Shane. So
right.
don't be in the description box leaving comments like, where her phone number at? I'm not giving her phone
Oh yes.
number out.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
I only meant that for you. Like, you have my number because I knew you mentioned you had something. But yeah, please don't give my
Yeah,
number
no,
out.
no, not giving your
Thank
phone
you.
number out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
But
Yes, there's
definitely,
many.
guys, I want you to check it out. I love the jewelry pieces. So definitely I will be screenshotting you for the bracelet. And I'm gonna probably order the chain and the necklace that I saw. I think they're a match.
Okay.
The clear stone earrings with the clear stone on the necklace.
Was it double pointed quartz?
Yeah, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
yep.
Yeah, so I like that.
Yep.
So I'm definitely going to be ordering some things, and again, supporting you in everything that you do. To everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to today's segment of Faithfully Her. We thank you, we love you, we appreciate you. And as always, I want you to step into your light and shine, shine, shine. Everybody have a
Yep.
blessed week in Christ. See you guys later. Bye-bye.